the March 4th Shamong. Sorry. No problem. Call to order the March 4th Shamong Township Committee meeting. Can you read the sunshine statement, please, Sue?
Sure. Please be advised, proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act.
Do a roll call.
Sure. Mr. DeCroce is absent today. Mr. Woods,
Here.
Mr. Diamond,
Here.
Ms. Mazitis,
Here.
and Mr. Wilkins is absent.
All right, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll open the meeting for public comment if anybody wants to come forward and make a comment. Oh, sorry, I think we got it. How's it going? If you could please state your name and address.
Diana Antonucci, 2 Stony Creek Court.
Thank you.
I live right across the street from Murphy's Pit.
Okay.
It's an ongoing problem. We've been here before to discuss it. They've been down there still, ATVs, dirt bikes, Jeeps. A couple of days ago, they were shooting firearms down there. They've been down there every day that it's above 30 degrees and not pouring rain. Has there been any further movement towards a solution?
I think we've had a little
Yeah, there's
progress.
been some more communication. Again, the current status of that property is it's been in private ownership for forever. The property is under an option by Bighorn Solar. They're trying to pursue a solar project. The short version is, and I can probably get into it a little bit more during my solicitor report, but basically, we've been in communication with the professional team that's working on pursuing that for the solar project. And they reported this past week that things seem to be moving forward before Atlantic City Electric. And they had some concerns about the application that were resolved. And they also anticipate a submission to Pinelands coming up in the next month. So at this point, there's nothing really for the township to do. They do reach out to us occasionally if they feel like things are slow or getting held up. And the last report is things seem to be moving along at Atlantic City Electric relative to that site.
And does the solar project, is that going to include the pit area?
So yes, there's two pieces though. There's the landfill portion, which actually got approval first,
Right.
and then they're pursuing the pit itself.
Okay.
But so it may not go on the same exact track, but they have applications in for both.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods, can we bring up our zoning official to give an update on 10 Woodgate? Because I think I see some residents here from that neighborhood that
course.
might be able to answer some of their questions.
Of course, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's tickets, as you know, there's been a long going history there. The property is not improved in any way, so we issued a new round of tickets for the April 2nd, I believe it is, April 2nd court date, or April 4th.
April 2nd.
It's April 2nd. Yeah, so it's the April 2nd court date. They'll be back in to address the remaining violations that are out there. Vehicles have been removed from the street, but now there's additional items in the yard, so it's just an ongoing issue. Once it goes through the court system, it's up to the judge to decide what he's gonna do or how fast to make them, correct it.
Has there been any fines issued yet?
The
By the
fines are
judge?
issued by the court, not by
Yes.
us.
Do you know if
No.
there have been?
No, the initial court date is April 2nd. Can you summarize the equipment and things that you've written summonses on?
Yeah, so right now we have there's one of the trucks have been removed. One of the trucks were registered and insured, so we have a outstanding ticket for one vehicle that is inoperable parked in the front yard. We have a ticket issued for a backhoe that's in the front yard, and then we have a summons issued for all the trash and debris that's left in the driveway.
And I know there was a previous court date that was, I believe, pulled because of an ordinance that we strengthened.
Correct.
Can you explain that a little, how?
So we
how that would
amended
help
our-
the situation?
We amended our ordinances. We had a court date scheduled for last month and then it fell into, one of the violations fell into one of the ordinance that we had just updated. So we had to dismiss that ticket because it would no longer be a violation.
Gotcha.
So we dismissed that one and then issued a whole new round of tickets addressing what was left and outstanding still.
So April court date and,
April court date, yeah. It's our understanding that she has a court appearance tomorrow, but not for anything that we've written.
okay, that's a more,
Keep in mind, April 2nd will be just the initial court date, which there will be no action taken, I'm sure, on that date. It'll be a first appearance for these tickets. She'll then have the right to obtain an attorney, which will, buy her till the following month. Hopefully at that point, a trial date would be set and then, we'll get some sort of resolve at that point.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
And then, I know, sorry, not for your head, I know, police have been active there too, right? So is there any update? Do you know if there's any update on, police activity?
I understand there was some and sounds like there was an arrest made.
Okay,
I don't know if you want to take the questions from Ted Woodgate now, so.
Sure,
since
yeah,
We have it.
yeah. Thank you for coming in. Please state name and address.
Deputy Mayor, thank you. Chris Thomas, 8 Woodgate Drive. Last month, I just asked you not to forget about Woodgate Drive. Sure. You would not believe what has happened in just the past 24 hours. I don't even think you can understand completely what has happened in the past 24 hours. Those trucks that you're referring to, they're playing bumper cars with them. Bumper cars into the woods, touching the within 5 feet of the property line, tree branches, they're ramming the trucks into the trees, tree branches onto my property. If it weren't for the patience of some of these neighbors calming me down, I asked you not to forget about it. I don't know what was rewritten because I know what was on the books and I know what was then amended. None of that was in the violation. The RV trailer was gone. They have no boat. They've got ATVs everywhere, ripping up and down the property line, ripping up and down the road. We have videos galore. The courtesy of the station commander coming last month and asking for emails. We're exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And I appreciate the questioning. I appreciate the efforts. I appreciate the answers. What I can't appreciate is I'm done. I'm done. There are now 2 houses for sale in a neighborhood. And when you talk to those 2 people, the only reason they're selling is the property that you've referenced tonight. That is the only reason. A young family, a family that is trying to put roots down like I did 48 years ago. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. And I will be, and I think every single person that was here, we've talked about it. We've talked about it. We will show up at the door, we will shake hands, and we will help clean that property. We will do everything a neighbor should be doing. There doesn't even need to be a court date. We will help. It's not neighborly. And in the past 24 hours, all heck has broken loose. Drive by. Please, drive down our road. But you need to drive down when it's most active. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. There was an explosion at 4:30 in the morning. Video caught the illumination on the side of houses. That is not behavior that is conducive to what I've heard the mayor say. Private property. What we do on our property should be our business, but not at the expense of those that are neighboring. That's not the way that this town was. That's not the way this town is. And I sure as heck hope it's not the way the town's headed. And I absolutely do appreciate the efforts of investigating and doing things. But to even contemplate the fact that I can only put a 4-foot high fence approaching that road, you might have to find me because I'm thinking about a 30-foot high fence. I can't do it anymore. And I'll echo this again for the microphone, for the recordings, and for anybody that's listening. I will be the first to go knock on the door, shake hands, and offer to help clean up. But I won't be party to this criminal behavior. I won't be party to watching my children have to listen, smell the burning of plastic at 3 a.m. because they don't pay for trash pickup. They just burn their trash all night long. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm just frustrated and I apologize for the tone,
No.
but thank you for your time.
Timothy McGarvey, 4 Sandstone Court. In regards to what Chris is dealing with, I witnessed it firsthand coming home from work today. I stayed a little late at work because we're a little behind, but it was still in play when I came home. Sir, they were pulling the gray pickup truck out of the actual township drainage easement into the main road with a chain that apparently failed. So it was obvious that they were trying to move the vehicle that was disabled, but then that truck broke down. So there was 2 trucks stuck in the middle of the road. This was at the time that I was pulling up. And so then I continued to watch because it's just one of them houses that you watch because whatever it is that they're doing isn't normal. So then they decided to move where the disabled gray pickup truck was further into the township easement, because it's 20 feet of between the property of Mr. Chris and the property of theirs. There's a township drainage easement that runs back towards Shawnee Baptist Church. So I think they maneuvered the gray truck into that easement, which is closer to his property. And I'm not sure, but I think they were trying to pull the front end loader that's sitting in there, leaking hydraulic fluid into our easement. They were trying to pull that because I sat there and watched this truck just keep pulling and pulling, and you hear the accelerator and then stops, and they did that for quite a while. And yeah, it's been quite interesting, like he said. It's a shame that Chris has to deal with this every day. It's always something new over there. I'm a couple houses down, so I don't hear everything, but I hear a lot from where I am. So I can't imagine living next to it. The explosion that it actually woke me up, and lo and behold, a couple hours later, I got the video of it, which is quite amazing. It's not your regular kids just hanging out, partying, and having fun. It's out of the ordinary. It's not normal, and it's affecting everyone that surrounds the housing. So, I like to see further addressment on this and harsher restrictions if possible. Thank you.
Hi, Heather McGarvey, 4 Sandstone Court. My issue is, of course, none of the kids in our neighborhood can go out on their bikes because we have junkies riding up and down the street on quads and their illegal vehicles. I have to go out with my 12-year-old who's embarrassed because, who knows what they're going to do. This is just an ongoing thing for way too long. And they only have 3 violations of that code. So if I were to go through that code, I wouldn't find other things we could violate them for. I mean, is there some way the township can reach out to the DEP about the leaking fluids? Because we have well water. And I really think we're reaching the point that all of us as neighbors, we can't sell our house for what it's worth. And if the township isn't going to be effective, I believe we have damages, and this would constitute class action. So, I mean, we're reaching the point now where something needs to be done. The time for, oh, well, we wrote a thing, we did this, is just not enough.
Do you have,
Are you going to reassess our tax bills?
do you happen to
Or
have any pictures of, the
I
leaking
could send you
fluids?
hundreds.
Okay,
I have
yeah.
a restraining
So-
order against
Send-
these
well,
people.
No, specifically DEP stuff, leaking fluids, if you could send me
Yes,
pictures.
yeah,
I'll-
we have lots
Okay.
of pictures of the trucks leaking into right into the storm drain right there.
I'll reach out to the DP tomorrow if you could.
Thank
send
you.
me
I
some-
would love that because that, the hydraulic fluid has leaked out of out of that front end loader. It's probably all leaked out now into the ground,
Okay.
but I mean, we have a little bit of a lot of people with chronic illnesses right in one area. So is that coming from all this stuff? I mean, they've twice now pled guilty to manufacturing meth in that house. So, I mean, where are those chemicals going? Are we, looking at any of that? I mean,
Well, if they've twice pled guilty to that, I would think that, hopefully the state police can do more for us as well, because a lot of these things we don't have enforcement issues on.
exactly. I know not the meth, but where are these chemicals going? They're going into our ground. So I mean, there's bigger issues than just, I mean, it's insane. The kids can't go out front to play basketball. They can't ride their bikes. No, nobody's kids can. To go around the corner to their friend's house, somebody has to drive them. I mean, this is Shamong. We don't live in Camden. This should not be a thing. And I think the neighbors have been more than fair in waiting and being patient. And I just feel that I'm pretty sure there's probably some other things on the books we could write for. I think everything should be written, not just one or two little minor violations, but I mean, the fact is, it's a disgrace. There is no other house in our neighborhood like this. So it's just, I feel that not just myself, but my neighbors are all being let down. And I mean, if the township wants to reassess our properties for what they're worth now and give us a new tax bill, that would be great. Because we're paying taxes for what? Houses we can't sell? I mean, that's my issues. I see damages now. So, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak about this issue? Well, I mean, obviously, it's no solace to you that court dates have to be waited for, and I believe we were told an arrest was made, and we're getting the police out there as much as we can. I know the mayor has met with with the new lieutenant many times, and unfortunately, court dates take a long time to get. They move slow. This is no solace to everybody that lives there. It's a horrible situation. Sorry you have to come here every month and say the same story. But I appreciate you coming here because you're protecting your neighbors, you're protecting your family, and we're just going to continue to work on it.
And you will contact the DEP for it.
Please send me over something apropos to the situation, and I will send it over to DEP. Of course. Does anybody have any other public comment? Hearing none, I will close the public comment and open up for items of discussion and possible official action. I'll start with the approval of the minutes for January 28th workshop meeting and February 4th, or do we have to do one at a time?
We have to do one at a time.
Okay, January 28th workshop meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the workshop meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Mr. Diamond, you were not at the 28th meeting, so Doug, I guess we just
Abstain.
just abstain, and
Yeah.
then, Brian, I'll have to have you second that if that's okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, February 4th, regular and executive session meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular and executive.
I'll
session
second
meeting.
that.
Okay, Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
and Mr. Woods.
Yes. And I believe we already went through the update at 10 Woodgate.
Mhm.
We'll move on to the 2025 budget updates.
Okay, I sent out a notice to the committee this past week. The primary state amounts, projected funding have remained flat. The budget address was given, and as always, we never know when the budget's totally gonna be finalized, but it's usually real close to that June 30th date. Not before. Historically, we've kind of held off on doing our budget because of that, but it seems like there's no budging on this one. Brian, do you have anything else to add? I mean, sometimes you hear more than I do.
Yeah, just municipal aid's not looking good. They have about 180 million that they're leaving out from it. So I believe that was, did we lose municipal aid last year? Not
Last year.
Pinelands aid, but we lost. So I think it's staying flat to that
flat.
loss.
Yes.
I know that there is a lawsuit being filed by state Republicans, because this is supposed to be statutory municipal aid. It's not supposed to be for other purposes. They're siphoning it over to the general fund budget to fund the budget. So obviously that affects every town in New Jersey and taxpayers in every town in New Jersey. So I would bet that the municipal aid stays where it was last year.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing is, the fire department wanted to make sure we had on the record that they were looking for $70,000 for a new command truck, which is gonna cost somewhere between 70 and 90,000. Last year, we had $35,000 in the budget. To do $35,000 in the budget this year is probably gonna cost us more surplus. To do 70,000, it's definitely gonna cost us to increase our surplus, because we don't have room in our current budget for that.
Gotcha.
So,
And I know the 35 from last year got moved over to surplus when we didn't use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
so that's why we put it back in for this year.
Yeah, I'd respectfully like to wait for the mayor on that, John. I know I've talked to him about it, and I don't know if you've had any recent talks with him, but before moving forward on that, I'd like to know where those talks are right now.
We've not had any further discussion with the mayor since our last,
Okay.
I had my commentary on the first budget review that we had publicly, so.
Okay, I brought it up to him a couple of weeks ago.
I
I
appreciate
think-
that. Charlie's continued to work with, the Ford dealership and the company. If you have any questions on the matter.
Great.
Sure.
Winter Ford is the local dealer that deals with police cars, and they have a state contract. That's who we're dealing with. We're
Okay.
still put together a package so we can get a final price. You know, ballpark where we're gonna be, but
Gotcha.
what worth of 70, probably 80,000.
Okay.
Base a vehicle 55 plus, and then they have lights and graphics. Control panel in the back. So that's where we are with it right now.
Gotcha.
Are any of the items, are any of those items in the current vehicle something that can be reused?
We asked that question and they said no.
Well, they make more money if they say no, but I'm just asking.
I
Mhm. Not much,
think it's much,
right?
a lot of cancer. It's in bad shape, so I don't know.
I concur that I was at the table when we had that discussion, and what I heard was the labor costs to remove old and transport it over and use it guaranteed, well, that would be cost, wouldn't save us money as opposed to going with package
When
technology.
that vehicle was made, 2007, 2008, LEDs weren't brown, now all the lights are LEDs. It's completely brown, so. That's why they said it's not worth trying to transfer things over.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you for the update.
We appreciate that you continue to consider it in the budget process.
And this would all come from surplus based on the current budget that we have right now.
Mhm.
Do you know how much is in surplus?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
That's okay. All right, I would like to move on to Borough Code GIF Fund Commissioner Report, February 18th.
Okay, zero lost time reports for Shamong is still 0 for the year date December 24. Broco GIF has a $6.2 million surplus as of the end of the year. Our incentives for this year are 5,095 hours, and that's in comparison to 4,845 in 2024. Their funds, programs that if we meet all the reporting requirements and so forth, they give us kind of grant monies to use to offset like our cyber training, our cyber, the firewall wellness program, safety items for the employees. The elected officials training is due by May 1st, and as some of you have done that, and thank you for that, and anybody else that needs help getting into that, let me know. We've made our first installment for the year. There's a kickoff breakfast scheduled for March the 27th, and that's for safety claims and wellness coordinators training. It's an annual required training class. Our next meeting is March the 18th. And if you have any other information or want to see the rest of the meeting agenda packet, that's in my office.
Thank you, sir. Next three, I assume we need a motion. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
for John Lyon, John, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Employee education seminar request, John Lyons, Office of Emergency Management Coordinator, Request to attend the annual OEM conference in Atlantic City at a cost of $450.
And we can do all three of these together if you like as a blanket motion.
Sure, let's do that. Lisa Jordan requests to take municipal clerk information and records management classes at her expense during work hours. And Lisa Jordan, technical assistant, to attend required class on June 13th at no cost, Shamong Township. Do you have a motion to move A, B, and C in a blanket?
I will motion.
I will second.
Thank you.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Mazitas?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes. 5-year appointment of fire police, balance of 5-year term expiring April 1st. Kevin Jimeno, Florence Jacobs, and Lee Jimeno. Do I have a motion to make these appointments?
I'll make a motion to appoint.
I'll second it.
Ms. Mazitas?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes. Accept the 2025 bid of Downstown Airport, Inc. for Gypsy Moth Aerial Suppression Program at a cost of $65 per acre for $2,283. And I believe this came in under.
Just
Under
under
budget,
budget. We
right.
budgeted 2,500, and it also would be to direct me to sign and submit the forms on behalf of the township. This is a required step in order to be to receive that gypsy moth spraying treatment of 35 acres within our community.
Thank you for getting it under budget. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
I will second.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Macitas?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes. Knights of Columbus request for a coin drop at the intersection of Oakshade and Indian Mills Road on April 26th with rain date on May 3rd from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We have Jim here with us this morning. This afternoon, rather.
Thank you. My name is Jim Kukora. I live at 115 Mohawk Trail in Shamong, and my wife and I have been residents of this wonderful municipality now for 44 years. And I thank you for letting me come before you once again for this annual collection to help children with disabilities. What we'll be doing basically is having one person at each of the 4 approaches into the intersection. They will all be wearing this lovely little thing here for visibility, and everyone will have a bucket like this to collect money from people who are willing to help our thing. This is a program of the New Jersey State Council Knights of Columbus. So what happens when we take our money, like last year, we came just short of $2,500. The council bumps it up to a nice round number, and we send it up to the state, and they take 10% off the top for state covered programs, and we designate where the other 90% goes.
Gotcha.
So we have been sharing the half of each of the 90% with St. John of God in Westville and with the Ark of Burlington in Burlington. So last year, after they took the $250 off the $2,500, you got $2,250 left, and they were issued 2 checks for $1,125 each. I have the copies of the checks here. They get sent back to us. We put a cover letter on it and send it to those organizations. And I'm going to make one little change in our approach this year. I noticed that when the Indian Mills Fire Company does their collection, they put traffic cones on each of the 4 approaches. And I like that idea. I think it's more visibility, a little more of a attention getter as the vehicles come. So we'll be adding that this year, and we will have traffic cones in each of the 4 directions in addition to the person standing there
Do you
dressed
need
like
to
this.
borrow some cones or do you have them?
Excuse me?
Do you need to borrow some traffic cones?
Church has plenty of traffic cones. We don't have any trouble. Any questions?
Just thank you for your volunteerism, and you're all becoming experts at this, so we trust you. Do I need a motion to
Yes, sir.
approve? Can we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Macitas?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
And Mr. Woods?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. 2024 Annual Tax Collectors Report.
That was completed and submitted as of the 1st. It's in your meeting.
Oh,
packet.
of course. Sorry, John. Can we?
For that one, because there's not that many people. If you want to coordinate with, and let me know, because I have Jim's email, if you just shoot that out to me tomorrow. I'm not going to be in the office Thursday and Friday, so make sure you shoot it out to me tomorrow.
Yeah. Then we get back to the riveting tax collectors report. Thank you.
Well, the good news about the tax collection report is they had a collection rate of 99.35% in 2024. ratio per the county as far as property value is 86.4%. And we had a tax sale in December, on the 6th of December, which resulted in 2 tax certs going to the township, and we canceled just under $6,300 in taxes. So overall, she's done a great job. It's that's unaudited. We're still going through our audit at this time.
Yeah, awesome job. Thanks again. Request for a four-way stop sign at Grassy Lake and Stokes Road.
As you may have heard, there's been some accidents along there in the recent month, really. And in that time frame, one of the residents stepped forward and asked if that could be converted to a four-way stop. And what they did makes total sense, is they went to the county because the county controls that intersection. The county, however, bumped it back to us. So,
Gotcha.
I applaud the resident for taking those steps because they do make total sense. So what they would need from us is just to push us along and for me to contact them and give them like a letter of support, if you will. Anything you want to add to that, Anthony?
I mean, if it's something that's already been discussed with the county, I mean, maybe we could just reach out to them just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
If you need anything else from us, if you need any sort of analysis from us,
Yeah.
we'd be happy to supply it, but I don't know if it's
Right.
necessary for what.
No, yeah, since the county controls that intersection, and I know that, there's a resident there who took down a number of trees and made that a much clearer intersection to begin with. So I guess it's the people coming from 5 Points that way, that's a bigger issue. There's one house there that the lady does not like her trees trimmed, so we're working with her to be able to trim the trees back. I know Public Works sat out there and trimmed the other side because they're okay with it again. But quite honestly, before the trees are trimmed, if you're looking both ways, you could see very well. So,
Sure.
It's just a matter of people just distracted or just moving too fast or whatever. Unfortunately, I think is a large part of that, and I'm not sure how we make that go away, but obviously if we get a light at that intersection, it would be helpful.
Okay. Anybody on the committee have any thoughts on four-way?
Are we talking, like a blinking light?
Yeah, kind of like what we asked for here, but I digress. We were a little gunshot.
Another
across the
circle.
Well, let's show that it works over there and then we can make our case again over here.
So, do we need to have a motion or just have them direct me, just Doug?
I think just as long as there's an understanding that you're authorized to move forward with that, that's all we need.
That's all, okay.
Yes.
All right, so-
If you need anything from our office, if you need a letter,
Okay.
let me know, we can wait for you guys.
All right, so I will reach out to the county and tell them that we support wholeheartedly for them to move forward and make that a four-way stop. Okay.
I'll move on to agreement to loan a fire truck from Delanco Fire District number 1. I don't know.
As you were aware, it's about 6-8 weeks ago, our fire truck was rear-ended on 206. It's still operational, thank goodness. Luckily, they were able to arrange a backup fire truck for the 2-week period of time it's going to be in the shop. So they're telling us. So that triggered an agreement to do that between Delanco and ourselves. Doug's office has reviewed the agreement, and I've sent it over to the JIF because the JIF is going to be the insurance carrier on this, make sure they sign off on it. And I was, at that point in time, as long as the JIF signs off on it and Doug signed off on it, those two parameters are met. But if we could get your approval, if you wish tonight, that would not require us to wait until next month to do it. We can do the approval based on having the JIF approval on the agreement and the insurance coverage.
Okay.
Does that sound good to you, Doug?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the forward thinking. I know you guys have been busy and you're about to it's going to be busier, right? Fire season's coming and it's dry and
The afternoon.
Yeah, it was.
yeah, right across the street from me. Hope everybody's safe and all right.
We cleared up about 40 minutes before 7.
Okay.
Mm.
Reason we reached out to the landfill on this is, first we reached out to local companies. Green Bedford had a spare truck, but understand they got rid of it, so.
Gotcha.
One of our members, Lester from Berkshire, happened to be an officer of Blanco, and they offered to lend us a truck. I know for a fact that the JIF would rent a truck for us, but we can avoid that
Sure.
issue by borrowing one, and that's why we went to Blanco, and they offered to lend us a truck for a couple of weeks.
That's great. I appreciate all your work on this. Do we need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Can we, anyone would like to make a motion agreement to loan a fire truck from Delanco Fire District 1?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Mazitas,
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes. Cost to repair 2014 Western Star plow truck.
So, this truck broke down, sounds like on its first load out, out of the corral, and it made it to, it had to turn around at the diner and come back. And, long story short is it sounds like it's pretty much has a, I guess the camshaft pretty much blew the engine on this thing. And at this point in time, we have reached out to make sure there were no recalls that this is going to be covered under. We also made sure that our extended warranty, which was a 5-year warranty, obviously is not extended past this year since it's a 2014. And we also contacted the vendor who's working on this to see if they had any other things, avenues that we could do to try to reduce the pain here. But at this point in time, we have a estimate of $23,963.97 to repair this truck. What we're doing is we're going back and forth with them right now, asking them if there would be any warranties on this, on the repairs you're doing, which we're pretty much getting a no out of. So then we're also asking them if we did a rebuilt engine, or is it just take our motor out and put another motor in? Would there be one in that case? We don't have, as of this afternoon, I didn't have an answer on that.
Gotcha.
So I guess, and maybe you can help me with this, is I guess the recommendation is that we go forward and approve this quote for now. And if we get a rebuild option, then,
Less, then that's part of the approval, but if it's not, then
and quite honestly, a rebuild option might be a little bit more, but to get a year's guarantee out of it might be worth it, but I just don't, I have no idea what that cost would
We would
be.
have to come back if.
yeah.
So we might be, at that point in time, we'd have to have a special meeting just to approve that work, but I'd like to at least get this part approved so we don't lose the use of that truck any longer than we have. Unfortunately, hopefully, we're pretty much past the snow season, but,
Yeah.
Any other questions on that? I mean, it's a big number. It's not a number I wanted to see, and, the guys were,
So none of this has been done yet?
No.
So we're just.
no,
it's gonna-
it requires your approval to move forward on that.
So it'd be a motion to approve the cost as proposed at 24K with the understanding that continued efforts will be undertaken to exhaust all possibilities, and if a result comes in that requires further approval, it'll come back to you guys at a special meeting.
And I would assume no benefit for kicking the can down the road, even if snow season might be past us. This is, something we're gonna have to.
Oh, yeah, we don't have, it does not run right now. It got
Gotcha.
towed out of here. If you run it anymore, it'll just do further damage.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve based on what we just discussed.
I'll second it.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
and Mr. Woods.
Yes.
And so if the only thing you have is to address a special meeting on that, you could do a Zoom meeting if you just
Okay.
needed to get 3 people together.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
I'll now move on to resolutions. 2025 R-41, emergency temporary budget appropriation.
So, in January, we set up a temporary budget, which is based on last year's budget, and it has to be no more than 6.25% of the prior year's budget, which it was not. We only budget, what we need, and it's meant to carry us through the first 3 months of the year. And, my CFO said that we need additional funding for a number of things. The grand total, which is $181,592, and it's broken down as follows: finance administration, other expenses for $3,000, assessment administration, which is tax assessor's office, $1,000, streets and roads, salaries and wages, $15,000, public employees retirement system annual appropriation, that's $91,592. That is a one-time payment, and it's going to be due before we're going to get the budget approved. So she wanted to get that in there. LoSAP for $42,000. That's the Length of Service Award program for our firefighters. And then streets and roads equipment. That's the one that I sent you all an email out earlier this week. For the last probably 6 years, maybe longer, we've had $35,000 a year in our budget every year for a replacement grader, because we have a grader that is a 1967. Obviously has seen its lifespan and is giving us some problems periodically. So we've added that to the temporary budget to have the funds there. The 35,000 would be in our budget anyhow, once we do the final adoption, which just bringing 29,000 of that into this point to
Okay,
give us
into
the
the
option
emergency.
on that other grader. So overall, again, in summary, it'd be approving an additional emergency appropriations of $181,592 even, which is within the restrictions of the 26.25% of last year's budget. Questions?
Do I have a motion to move 2025 R-41?
I'll make a motion to approve 2025 R-41 emergency temporary budget.
I'll second it.
Ms. Mazetis?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
And that brings us to the next item. You will put up with me, Mr. Woods. Resolution 2025 R-42, purchase of a 1997 John Deere grader for 29,000. So we have been, as I said, for years looking for another grader as a replacement. This one, Steve Mitchell, who is our newly appointed superintendent of public works, was able to locate this. It's relatively close by. It started at 32.5. We were able to negotiate it down to 29,000 and also require them to deliver it here to our parking lot. As a little bit of history, the prior grader, the 1967, was purchased in 1984 for 22,000. And at that point in time, you were looking at something that was 17 years old. So now we're looking at something that's much older, but not that far off in price. And it's coming from a company known as C&S Equipment Sales in Mount Holly on Powell Road. Any questions? Or it's a little bit bigger than the one we have. Doesn't leak as much oil, that's for sure, from the pictures. And it comes with a larger blade, the board that they call that. But I was assured that, yes, it will fit into our building, and yes, it will fit on our the roadways that we have that get graded on a regular basis.
What's the lifespan for one of these?
It really just, the one that we have now has been well maintained, and once we take it over, it's not used that much.
Okay.
It's probably getting, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it gets 10 hours a month, which is probably a lot more than what it actually does get driven. And then it spends its life in inside the garage.
Yeah.
So it's not out there getting beat up by the elements, which helps extend it. I did have our CFO look at the cost of this, and there are sufficient funds that are available. This item was not included in the bill list, so if this gets approved, I've got the adjusted amount to the bill list.
Does anybody have any other questions on the John Deere grader?
I guess there's no warranty.
No,
Okay.
no warranty. I did reach out to Gov Deals, and that's within this resolution to sell the other grader. And that the day of the auction, I believe, will be 325 if we move forward with this. Estimated value on the old grader is about $5,000, so that'll offset some of the costs.
Nice.
They have a motion to approve 2025 R-42.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes. Now move on to ordinances. 2025-1, second reading and public hearing, calendar year 2025 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
This was introduced last month and published in the Brunswick County Record Times on February the 9th, 2025. And it doesn't mean that we are going to actually exceed the budget cap bank, but it gives us a means to have our surplus and save the money. The way they word this is always convoluted.
Yes, I've seen this cap bank ordinance many a times, and I've always explained it as it is not a real bank. You're allowed to, if you don't increase your taxes, you're allowed to put that money into a surplus account for 3 years and use it for further increases. So it is, well, it sounds like you're spending money. It actually means that you are not going above that 2% tax cap limit. I don't know if anybody has any other questions about this. Since
You
it's
have to open
second
this to-
reading, I have to open it up to public comment.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have public comment?
Questions or comments on this ordinance?
Okay, I will close it for public comment. And do I have a motion to approve 2025-1?
I'll make a motion to approve 2025-1.
I'll second it.
Ms. Pizzaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes. Move on to the approval of the attached bill list for $1,599,221.30, and I cannot make the motion this time, so I have to rely on one of you.
Yes, and that amount does include the 29,000. Your bill list that was attachment needed to be adjusted. Oh, I'm sorry, that does not. The bill list was adjusted by from the time I mailed that out. I'm sorry. The final bill list with the 29,000 is 1,694,465.44
With the grader?
with the grader, and that matches everything that you received in your report attached to the agenda. The one that was mailed out was the other amount. The one that was emailed out. So the new
Okay.
one is attached to your, if you want to take a look at the one in the minutes, if you have any
Yep.
questions. We have things in there that we don't normally have, such as the pension payment for $91,592. We have the LoSAP payment for $34,770. That's not a normal item in there as well. We bought some salt. I would think that was around 30,000.
All right, do I have approval for the bill list?
Really gonna make me do it.
To make the motion.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it.
Ms. Mazetis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes. Okay, we could please move on to reports. Our township engineer, and I believe this is your last report for with us. So thank you so much for
Yes, it is. And
serving our town.
thank you guys for having me for the last couple of years. You guys have been a very warm municipality, and it's been great working with you guys. So starting next month, Joe Hirsch, who was here prior to me, he'll be back, and he cleared up his conflict for this night, so he'll be able to attend as well. So he's familiar with the board, and he'll just continue his duties.
And he'll be also working with our joint land use board as well.
He will, correct. In terms of our engineers report, we don't have too much new on this one. We did close out a few of these projects with the previous within the last few months. We're in the process of starting the engineering design for the Atzion Road Phase 3. This is from the Medford line to connect to where they ended their pavement line to Red Onion Road. We've already been out there. We've done some exploratory cores of the road. We have our survey on the schedule. It'll likely be done probably around the end of this month. That's where it's looking like in the queue right now, possibly the beginning of April, but we'll keep you guys up to date with where we're at on that. And just, I should have brought this up at the last meeting from the road and drainage program, the 2023 road and drainage program. I didn't mention the maintenance bond that was posted for that, but just for the record, the maintenance bond for that project will expire on August 9th, 2026. So that's a new addition to this report. The last thing on here is the local rec improvement grant project that was awarded to All J's. We're in the process of preparing those contracts. So Sue, you should be getting those within the next week or so. We just got the documents from All J's at the end of last week. So probably this week, next week, we'll get you the contracts, and then we'll get going on that. That's all I have.
Thank you for your report, and best of luck to you at Amtrak. They're gonna be lucky to have you. Doug, what do you got for us?
Not much more to add. I just wanted to supplement what I referenced earlier on Bighorn. One of the clarifying points is that the project on the landfill side is being referred to as a straight solar project, which I think means it's going to generate power that they sell back to the grid. And the other portion that's slated for the pit, Murphy's Pit, is community solar, which actually has a benefit to our residents in the area. So it should actually be a win-win in that regard, in terms of not only cleaning up the pit, but also providing an added benefit to the residents in the area, particularly if people have certain qualifying income standards. That'll be a significant help to them. So That's really all I have at this month. I check with them every month. If there's more to report, I'll report, keep you guys updated on where things stand. But I do think we're moving in a positive direction with respect to both parts of that project.
Doug, for the community solar, does that have to be geographically adjacent to that, or can it be anywhere in our community as long as they meet the?
No, I don't think it's anywhere in the community. I do think there's a proximity issue. I can try and get some more general information on that, and I'm not sure exactly how. I think there might be a like an application or almost like a pull method where if there's so many people who want it, they end up figure out who's going to get it.
Okay.
But I'll try and get some more information for you, Sue,
Thank
on
you.
that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your continued work on this. I know getting energy generation on the grid in the Northeast is a very tough and long task, but there is constant updates, and Bighorn seems serious about this, and just for the community, they are moving forward. They're doing every step they can. So it seems to be moving in the right direction. Sue, Township Administrator report, please.
Sure. The 2024 workman's compensation audit is taking place currently and is due March 12th. We have the 2025 Curly Fern and Dora ride going through our community on March 15th and 16th. 2025 dog licenses are due now. We have a rabies clinic scheduled for Saturday, April the 26th at the Memorial School between 9 and 11, where you can get your rabies, your dog or cat can receive rabies shot, and you can also pick up a dog license at the same time. Auditors have completed our annual debt statement for 2024 and the financial statements, and they're currently, they've already completed much of the audit field work, and they'll be working on the budget this month and next. We've issued some solicitor licenses for people to be able to go through our community, door to door. Edgar Jones, financial representative, we issued one, and then renewal by Anderson, we issued 7 licenses with that. We've also made the New Jersey State Police aware of that as well. County Election Board has notified us that they're going to be redistricting some of our voters across our community, and this is supposed to help reduce bottlenecks at the polls. So we'll see what happens. And that's everything I have. We've already covered the other things.
Fairly good at the polls in this town compared to others last elections.
It was not good. Yeah.
Let's hope it gets better. Thank you. Thank you for your report.
And then the other reports that are attached are the builder's report, building code office, the finance department, the court, tax office, and then also Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company. I got that late in the game, but we're good to get the report in for February, so that's also attached to your meeting packets.
Thank you. You wanna? Thank you, John.
I didn't make it cut off to get it in.
Well, you would be on the agenda if you had. I would have put your name on it.
No, I know, well, Mayor seemed disappointed I didn't give a report last month. He doesn't come, so I don't know how to take that. John Lyons, OEM, you mentioned wildfires at the beginning.
Yes.
Indian Mills Fire Company's assisted Tabernacle with several brush fires recently. We've had some larger scale incidents happening within the state, as you're probably aware, Mercer County and Gloucester County. Conditions persistent with drought, low humidity, and high winds continue to be cautious. I wrote this and then I was in the middle of finishing it, and we got called out for one in town today. So it was a shed that went into the woods. It started to get a little bit hairy, but it was controlled and contained quickly. And again, we have amazing partners. We have an amazing volunteer fire company, and I'm just thrilled that the impact was as small as it was, because it's very dangerous conditions these days for that. The emergency operations plan, nicknamed the EOP, the governor and the state police changed the review process for that for every 4 years to review and submit it formally, down to every 2 years. So it's a fairly arduous task to go through and update it and recompile it. They also changed the format for it. So the document itself is a little less cumbersome, but it's brand new PDFs. There's a lot of editing work involved in that. I have the new template. It's due in the May-June timetable. So what I'm going to do is work with the LEPC members, the department heads, primarily, Sue, Public Works, Fire Company, et cetera, get all of their each individual annexes. So each broken out to about 14 sections. They'll edit, annotate it. I'll recompile it. I want to bring it to either the April or the May meeting here for formal sign off by the committee. The mayor co-signs it because there's promulgation statements in there, et cetera. A document then becomes law. So we'll get that done before the beginning of the summer to stay on track with the state. And then that'll become every 2 years. So it'll just be a regular occurrence. It's been a very active first quarter with winter weather coordination, messaging, and alerts. Hopefully that's behind us just in time to fix the plow truck. Emergency management was called out to assist the fire company with mutual aid to the structure fire that we had earlier in January on Meeting House Lane. So this is comprising basically my first quarter report. Thankfully on that, I'll have more details at the bottom on that, but it was just a portion of the structure, an in-law suite, and they weren't displaced except they were able to move into the main home. Was able to coordinate annual refresher trainings for our volunteers, both the fire company and the CERT volunteers. This is JIF driven. It's things like bloodborne pathogens, other compliance classes that we take. So I'll make sure Joanne has all the records to update and keep us compliant with that. I personally attended a train the trainer certification, have that cert now for what's called Pathways to Preparedness. It's put on by the terrorism branch of Department of Human Services. But it basically allows me then to deliver classes to the general public if they're interested in emergency preparedness for themselves. So like a cert light for homeowners or individuals. And it's about 2 hours worth of material. You know, if we're interested in holding a public workshop here one day to do that, we could put the curriculum together for that and see if there's interest locally for that. It was able to assist the Sudbury School over on Oakshade Road with obtaining a free AED, much like we've put in our ballparks and in the building here. And other preparedness discussions, including floor plans for the building that our fire chief now has in the system. And just giving them some guidance on emergency preparedness because it's a private school. They don't fall under the education department and have the requirements that the public school system has for planning and drills and coordination and all of that, but they want to follow best practices to be safe. So got some good relationships going there finally, and hopefully give them some direction on that. You approved the EPA conference request earlier. Appreciate that. That goes directly towards support of the grant for EMAA that we do each year. Gives me a decent amount of continuing education credits and other materials that are useful for that grant performance. Our Pineland CERT program, we did pick up a few new members from the community that Burlington County ran a CERT course to certify people in the first quarter, and we've picked up a few people that want to become supporters of that program. Also taught and provided incident command certification level 100, which is the basic entry class, to our new members and some of our older members as well who need to be update their compliance. FEMA nationally has been putting out some guidance on if you want to turn out other than in your local town, there's certain requirements for training and certifications that they want to see to type you. And our team will be prepared to be able to do that so they can support not only the regional municipalities that are part of Pinelands, but also Burlington County, the state, and further if necessary, but we've never been called to do that. Put out a formal deployment request to the CERT team to support the rabies clinic. We've always had a great relationship with Sue and Joanne to support them in that. And we'll also bring the fire company in to make sure that the traffic and the traffic lanes are all set up. A few notes on the fire company. You already did receive the chief's report separately. I'm going to put in a proclamation request for next month for the support that we got for the structure fire Meeting House Lane and possibly for today's brush fire again with unbelievable turnout from the community of the neighboring fire companies.
You guys got that out fast.
It was.
My wife was outside with our son playing and heard a loud bang, a bunch of smoke, and she called me, and then seconds later, I heard the sirens in the background. You guys did a great job.
I started out in the playground with my granddaughter over in Medford, and I saw Medford's guys all screaming out. So I was like, we got to wrap this up. We have arranged with Shawnee Baptist to get a tour of the facility for some of our newer members, much like we do with the school. It's a little bit, as you know, maybe possibly it's a complicated layout. So it's good to show some of our new members what the building looks like, but we're also going to do some elevator training in there, which is nice. A number of our members have never received that. So we could actually go through and do that ourselves. Provide, you know, what's the process for override and elevator rescue if that were ever necessary. It's one of the resources available to us, and the pastor's been very accommodating for that. That'll happen in April. We're going to have our coin drop probably in June. Thursday night is our company meeting. We'll get that approved and then we'll submit the paperwork for it. That'll be our first of 2 of our annual coin drops. That's a big deal. I'm glad to see that the Knights of Columbus are doing it as well. It's a big help for our purposes there.
How have they been since the dragway?
It's
down. We actually we used to do a half day because it's a long day for us to be out there. And the last one, we did it for 8 hours, which required 2 shifts of volunteers to come through so that folks weren't committed for the full day. That will allow us to get back to the numbers we used to see at a half day.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a drop off. The date that we're planning coincides with War in the Woods. I like to try to work with IMAA to see,
Okay.
is there a draw to town for something? I'm open to suggestions if you have other ideas. I mean, I see all the event permits, so I know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just, how do we try to get traffic coming through? We got a lot of support from the dragway from out of state, New Yorkers. I
course.
mean, it was a wonderful opportunity, but we do what we can.
Sure. Well, everyone
questions?
pay attention to their mail when that solicitation comes in, right? The
Yes,
donation, let's.
I spoke with Lisa. We're gonna get our mailing list process up and running out for the mail solicitations as well. I mean, those numbers are somewhat down as well year
Okay.
over year. It's just hard.
Yeah.
Should appreciate it. Any questions on the report? All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now move on to public comment. If anybody has anything they'd like to say? Of course. Take your time.
You just want to open there, Laura?
Yeah, you're fine.
I need to.
You move once more.
I just feel like I'm 100 years old. Actually, I'm going for physical therapy, so I'm walking better.
Nice.
Okay, just a couple things. And by the way, with John's report, you did a great job with the truck going through. You got that guy boarded up real quick. My husband was on his way to Wawa that morning. He came home and he woke me up. He goes, "You're not gonna believe what's happening downtown."
Yeah.
I said, "We have a downtown."
Had to sneak it in, right? He's not even here to defend the downtown, you know?
Anyway, just one thing, sir, with the cost to repair the plow truck.
Mhm.
Do you get more than one quote? I mean, do you just go to one person?
We just go to Hayesport because Hayesport is approved by the state. Their state.
I mean, are you allowed to get more than one quote?
We are, but now you're gonna incur a cost to get it towed, and to tow a vehicle that size it's like $800.
Oh, you had to tow it there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I just thought maybe,
No. No, that's why, because of them being.
because I never get anything done with one quote.
I agree, but this is a state contract vendor. And they've already towed it.
Yeah,
for us,
well,
and
the
if
state's
we-
not very efficient with spending money. And
The
the
guys
other-
do have a big confidence level with the work that they do, though.
Okay. The other thing, before you leave, I'm gonna miss you, but I brought this up before. They're gonna start Outside Road up here again. And the
Correct.
last time I mentioned my part of the road, what the hell did they do? I told you to take a ride down there. They paved the parts that didn't have holes. The holes, no, it's a beautiful road, a little wavy. Did you notice that? It's just kind of like a
Yeah, I'm
mild
sure
roller
if it was
coaster.
if it was just repairs, I did bring this up.
It wasn't repairs.
I brought it up to Joe Hirsch and he wrote it out there and I
mean,
I think
why
that
would
might be
they did a part.
He's saying pick on Joe next month. That's what he's
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
Bring it up again because
I'm reading between the lines.
I don't want to see my husband get pulled over again
No, absolutely.
because he's going over, and then they stop him at 8 o'clock in the morning that he's, have you been drinking? No, I'm trying to get off the holes. But,
Hey, I'll bother him about it again.
did you drive down there?
I haven't been down
I-
there, not that far.
I told you to do it.
No.
See, nobody listens.
Coming from the wrong direction.
The mayor of Ensign told you to take a ride there because if any of you driven down there, there's holes. They're still there. Then they paved a beautiful part that was fine. Then you go down a little bit further, right before my house, and there's holes again. It's all bumpy and whatever. And then they paved it. And it made no sense
I will
whatsoever.
bring it
Now
up
they're
to him
gonna
again
go to,
tomorrow. I'm not sure if that was just a sectional.
That was an
paving job,
oversight.
Or if they
Tell
did
me it was an
the whole
oversight.
thing. It shouldn't have been.
they need to talk to me. But tell them to come see the mayor of Ensign. I'll tell them where to pave.
I'll warn them for next month.
Tell them where to go. They go
Thank you.
home.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone further for public comment? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to recess from the Township Committee meeting and conduct the Board of Health meeting.
I'll make a motion to recess from the Township Committee meeting and start the Board of Health meeting.
I'll second it.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Call the 2025 Board of Health meeting to order. The sunshine statement is, please be advised, tonight's Board of Health meeting has been, notice has been published in Brunswick County Times as required, and also our township website. Every year, what we do at this time is we summarize to the public what has taken place. A lot of this has happened in conjunction with the Brownson County Board of Health and their programs, as well as the state of New Jersey. In 2024, we issued dog licenses to
Thank you for coming in.
170 dogs. We have rabies clinics where in 2024, we had 35 dogs and 8 cats getting rabies shots. In April 26th of 2025 will be our next clinic. And again, we thank Dr. Kenneth Dazen for being our volunteer vet for this. The state of New Jersey rabies cases, the Brownson County had 8 cases last year, 6 being from a raccoon and 2 from cats. And in the state of New Jersey, we had 181 rabies cases that was broken down into 89 raccoons, 34 skunks, 10 foxes, 14 cats, 5 groundhogs, and 29 bats. We've received property business inspections from the Board of Health, and all inspections have passed satisfactorily. And we've had vector-borne surveillance for West Nile virus in the state of New Jersey. There was 39 cases last year, with 2 cases being in Brunswick County. Can open the meeting to the public for the Brunswick County Board of Health meeting, if anybody has any questions. If not, can we have a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting so we can go into back into our regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
and Mr. Woods.
Yes.
All right, so we'll reconvene the March 4th, 2025 regular meeting. Do we need a motion to table the executive session since we no longer need that, or can we just read that?
We don't need to formally table that. We can
Okay.
just, we're not going to go into executive tonight. We had a matter to discuss, but since there's only 3 governing body members here, we thought it best to wait till next month. Nothing urgent.
Thank you, Doug. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion. I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for making that easy on me.